Good morning. For your Blizzard bag, I'm going to have you reading a section from the environmental science book. This is called Everything is Connected. I have a PDF for you, and then at the bottom are the questions. Pre-questions are how do alligators and other organisms interact? What is ecology? What is the biotic part of the environment? What is the abiotic part of the environment? And then they're going to give you a list of some different items, and you're going to have to tell whether it's abiotic or biotic. You're going to have to put your 5 levels of environmental organization in order from smallest to largest. And then there are some listing of some different items you're going to need to do. There's 20 questions total, and I'm going to go ahead and read with you right now. You can open your PDF file and read as I read with you. An alligator drifts in a weedy Florida river, watching a long, thin fish called a gar. The gar swims too close to the alligator. Then, in a rush of murky water, the alligator swallows the gar whole and slowly swims away. It is clear that the two organisms have interacted when one eats the other, but organisms have many interactions other than simply who eats whom. For example, alligators dig underwater holes to escape from the heat. After the alligators abandon these holes, fish and other aquatic organisms live in the holes during the winter dry period. Studying the web of life. All living things are connected in a web of life. Scientists who study the web of life specialize in the science of ecology. Ecology is the study of interactions of organisms with one another and their environment. The two parts of the environment. An organism's environment consists of all things that affect the organism. These things can be divided into 2 groups. All of the organisms that live together and interact with one another make up the biotic part of the environment. The abiotic part of the environment consists of non-living factors, such as water, soil, light, and temperature. How many biotic parts and abiotic parts do you see in Figure 1? You can go ahead and look down there on Figure 1 and see if you can point out the biotic parts, which are the living parts. That would include like the alligator and what other ones. And then the abiotic parts of the environment are the non-living parts. So maybe rocks at the bottom of the river, water. What are the other abiotic parts that you see in the environment? Organization in the environment. At first glance, the environment may seem disorganized. However, the environment can be arranged into different levels, as shown in Figure 2. The first level is made of an individual organism. The second level is larger and made of similar organisms, which form a population. The third level is made of different populations, which form a community. And the fourth level is made of a community and its abiotic environment, which form an ecosystem. The fifth and final level contains all ecosystems, which form the biosphere. So there are your levels. Populations. A salt marsh, such as the one shown in Figure 3, is a coastal area where grass-like plants grow. Within the salt marsh are animals. Each animal is part of a population, or a group of individuals of the same species that live together. For example, all of the seaside sparrows that live in the same salt marsh are members of a population. The individuals in the population often compete with one another for food, nesting space, and mates. Communities. A community consists of all of the population of species that live and interact in an area. The animals and plants you see in Figure 3 form a salt marsh community. The populations in a community depend on each other for food, shelter, and many other things. Ecosystems. An ecosystem is made up of a community of organisms and the abiotic environment of the community. An ecologist studying the ecosystem could examine how organisms interact, as well as how temperature, precipitation, and soil characteristics affect the organisms. For example, the rivers that empty into the salt marsh carry nutrients, such as nitrogen, from the land. These nutrients affect the growth of cordgrass and algae. Finally, the biosphere. The biosphere is the part of the Earth where life exists. It extends from the deepest parts of the ocean to high into the air where plant spores drift. Ecologists study the biosphere to learn how organisms interact with the abiotic environment, Earth's atmosphere, water, soil, and rock. The water in the abiotic environment includes fresh water and salt water, as well as water that is frozen in polar ice caps and glaciers. Then if you scroll down, you'll see your directed reading. I've made sure to include page numbers. So what you can do is go back up. You can see there's 20 questions. You can go back up to the page that you want to and read the questions. And if you have any questions, you can message me in Schoology or talk to me when we get back to school. Thanks.